Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we're going to talk about a quote from Arizona that I think is really important. And we're going to talk about a new piece of legislation from there. It's the latest installment in the Republican plan to remake American society, to transform it into one of those wonderful societies where the government has say over everything and nobody can talk to anybody without fear of being sued. And well, the big brother is always there to call you in and explain the state's displeasure with what you're doing. The bill is HB2161, introduced by Steve Kaiser from Phoenix. The purpose of the bill is to require people at schools, teachers, so on and so forth, to call in parents if they find out their student, if they find out their child is expressing a different identity or orientation. So if a student confides in a teacher, it's that teacher's responsibility to call in the parents and talk to them, and just explain that their child has done this. And in the process, of course, create that atmosphere where it's the government saying, we know what your kid's doing. Kaiser, by the way, if the teacher doesn't do this, of course, there can be a lawsuit, carving out that exemption, creating that informer network that gets paid to rat out their neighbor, Kaiser said that he had worked with different stakeholder groups to put this together. When pressed, that story kind of fell apart. Found out that most of the groups that assisted in this were just anti-LGBTQ groups. One was the Center for Arizona Policy, which has a long history in the state that you can look up if you would like. And Kaiser was questioned about this particular piece of legislation by Representative Hernandez from Tucson. If you don't know, Hernandez is gay. And Kaiser got kind of on the defensive and was like, I understand why you don't like this group, And there's a lot that people are focusing on. But I want to point to one thing that Kaiser said that to me is the most important part of it all. I'm not sure what education group I'd go to because they'd be against this. When asked why he didn't work with real stakeholders, with education groups, with groups that represent educators and teachers, that was his answer. He proposed legislation about schools that he apparently believes not a single group of educators in the state would back. If you're proposing legislation and the group that's going to be impacted by it wouldn't support it, that's probably an indicator that it's a bad piece of legislation. Now, let's be honest about this. This is part of the desire to create that informer system in the United States, to bring about that type of system that authoritarians like to use to keep the populace in check. The other part is it's that red meat for the base, Because if there's one thing that can propel a Republican candidate forward, it's kicking down at somebody. And most groups have developed pretty strong defenses against this. So Republicans at this point are limited to kicking down at LGBTQ kids. Yeah, real leaders, right? Makes sense. If you live in Arizona, this is something you might want to look into. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.